Senate and House stimulus bills. They must agree on a compromise version for the president to sign. So far, all sides have agreed to reduce the home buyer credit, to trim the bill's cost to $790 billion. House Democratic leaders say that there are certain concessions they simply won't give up.
Usually you go to conference and split the difference between the two houses. That may not be the case here. At these conferences, my experience has been that the White House has a seat at the table, that they weigh in.
Democratic Senator Evan Bayh joins us now. Senator, the House says that they're going to demand certain things, but it strikes me that with 3 Republican votes, there isn't a whole lot of give to negotiate from the Senate side.
Well, Andrea, your arithmetic is right on target. The total size...
Only because it's easy.
It's not easy when you're passing bills by just a vote to spare and that sort of thing. And the 3 Republicans have been very clear about the size of the package. I personally think it's good that we've saved the taxpayers about $100 billion and that we're trying to focus it more specifically on things that will create jobs in the short run and help middle-class families reduce their tax burden. And so I think the package has actually been improved as it's gone along.
Let me ask you how you think it's actually going to work in the real world, because I was out in Indiana last weekend, and there are, people who really have big needs and real fears, but they also don't want to see a whole lot of government spending. They don't want to see a lot of waste, and some of this money is sort of one size fits all. Send money to school districts that are shutting schools, not expanding their districts because of population decline. So how does it work down where the rubber meets the road?
Well, several things, Andrea. First, I'm glad you were in our state. I hope you spent a lot of money while you were with us. That could help our economy, your own personal stimulus plan. There are things
wherever I go.
we appreciate that very much. You and Susan have a similar philosophy. There are things that will help people right now. For example, the tax cuts for families that are close to $1,000 for an average couple. Things that will help to make college more affordable, $2,500 per student. Those are things right now, right away, to help meet middle-class families' needs. The construction aspect of this, new roads, new bridges, new educational facilities, those sorts of things, clean water treatment plants, those are things that will have to be, Audrey, in order for the state and local governments to get the money, have to be put into effect right away. 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, putting people to work right now. And then things that will work, frankly, not maybe in the next 12 months, but in the next 24 months, that will help lower the cost of health care. That's a big issue out where I'm from. And things that will make our economy more effective and put businesses in a better position to hire people in the longer term. So to answer your question directly, because we're an automotive state, where the rubber meets the road, this is not a magic answer of some kind. It's not suddenly going to make the economy a whole lot better, but it will keep it from getting worse and begin to get people back to work and lay the foundation, we hope, for an economy that is growing and significantly better this time next year.
Well, let me play for you a little bit from the debate yesterday where Chuck Schumer was on the floor and see if you think Indianans agree with what the New York senator said.
And let me say this to all of the chattering class that so much focuses on those little tiny, yes, porky amendments. The American people really don't care.
So do people not care about pork?
Well, I disagree with Senator Schumer on that. He is my friend, but I think he's misread the attitude of the American people. And I think you put your finger right on it, Andrea. People want action. They know the economy is hurting. They want us to move swiftly and boldly to deal with that. They've had enough of partisan gridlock, but they don't have great confidence in the government's ability to do it efficiently, effectively. They think there will be a lot of waste. And unfortunately, those, quote, little porky items undermine the credibility of the whole enterprise. So my attitude on this is get them out. Things that are wasteful, marginal, silly, won't focus on creating jobs in the near term or meet our long-term challenges, get them out of this thing. I think that in that way we help to create jobs, move the economy in a better direction, and in the long run rehabilitate the government's reputation for effectiveness.
I know you've got to run, and I want to let you go, but I want to ask you about Afghanistan. You're on armed services. The president is going over to talk to Secretary Gates, who has said that within days there's going to be a plan on troop strength, a surge, whatever you want to call it, for Afghanistan, where we've had a terrible series of events and explosions in the last 24 hours.
Well, it's important that we have a new approach to Afghanistan, and I think the new president, along with Secretary Gates, has done our country a great service, Andrea, by more clearly defining what is our mission there. it is not realistic to think that Afghanistan will be a Western-style democracy anytime in our lifetimes. That is just it's not realistic. But what we can hope for is that with this temporary increase in the number of troops, to stabilize the place so it is not a haven for terrorists to use to attack us from, and that it doesn't destabilize Pakistan, which has nuclear weapons, and if that country were to have severe domestic turmoil, could really be a big problem for us and for the rest of the world. So we have more realistically defined why we're there. This increase in troops will help us to accomplish why we're there, and then in the long run, Andrea, begin to hand some of this off to the Afghanis, who that really is the only answer for a better Afghanistan. It ultimately has to come from a better government there with more effective police, armed forces, those sorts of things.
Do you agree with Richard Holbrooke, who is there in the region right now as we speak, and said in Munich on Sunday that Afghanistan is going to be tougher to solve than Iraq?
Yes, I think he's probably right about that. Iraq had a terrible ruler in Saddam Hussein who did a lot to tear that country down. But at least they did have a more pre-existing institutional structure. They did have a more functional economy, not based on the sale of poppies and heroin, as is too often the case in Afghanistan. So there was really more to work with, at least in some respects, in Iraq than in Afghanistan, which has been a feudal country, not nearly as developed as Iraq for, hundreds, if not thousands of years. So I agree with Richard Holbrooke.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. I know you got to run. Evan, bye.
Thank you,
Good to see
Evan.
you.